You've said in other interviews that current Senator from California, Adam Schiff, may have destroyed evidence as part of his role in the January 6th committee when he was in the House. Why is this concerning to you?
Well, look. First of all, as you know, Matt, the scope of my work here at the Department of Justice has included investigating January 6th, investigating the 2020 election and how it's treated. But in this case, what we have is people actively destroying documents that have an impact on cases that were before the courts, that were in the courts. So, for example, the Select Committee on January 6th announced publicly that they had 2 or 3 divisions. They hired investigators, in fact, including a former member of Congress, and they had them investigate these divisions. These are right. So, and then when they went to do their final report, all the research disappeared. All the research went away. When Adam Schiff, what has come out publicly, not from me, again, his lawyers are commenting on it, what has been disclosed about his leaking, how he's talked about his leaking, destruction of documents. These are all things that are way beyond any defense. You know this, Matt, you were there. You have a defense constitutionally for, speech and debate. That has to do with your job. It doesn't have to do with all the conduct that you do. And by the way, there's an exception for felony misconduct also in there. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. I think Senator Schiff has attacked me and others so vociferously, you start to say, what's the problem here? If you're innocent, let's see what you've got, and we'll see what happens.
I am probably one of only 6 or 7 congressmen or former congressmen that has gone through those files from the January 6th committee. And here's what I can tell you you're going to find when you and your team really get into that. They tracked so purposefully how any of their targets spent money, moved, and communicated. I mean, like, I was going through files that you could see where Bernie Carrick bought a cup of coffee in D.C., rest his soul, and there you could see where Charlie Kirk had got a van for people who wanted to come to the Capitol on that day, or a bus. But then there were some files with some of their targets that were just totally empty. I opened the Steve Bannon file, and it was completely empty. And what I think is so interesting about your response is that you're actually looking at this through the lens of what else was going on in the legal system, because that is the true definition of weaponization. If they were taking things out of their congressional duties that were supposed to go to fortify democracy and instead using that as a veneer to try to ignite criminal prosecutions that, or even feed criminal prosecutions that weren't a consequence of following the facts and the law, but that were just a way to blunderbuss their targets. And so, if one of the problems I found, and this is a real intricate area of law, destroying committee records is illegal. However, the committee can determine what committee records are.
Right.
And so in this case, they could just say, oh, yes, well, we've just determined that the Steve Bannon files are all not committee record. Anything we saved is a committee record. Anything we destroyed isn't. And it makes you wonder whether or not maybe some of those laws need to be revisited by Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune to ensure that you don't have the destruction of this stuff going forward. Are you confident with what you're able to get access to and assess that you're going to be able to very thoroughly make your prosecutorial judgments?
Well, look, I've been involved with our mutual friend Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, and she has gone, and I hope people have tracked what I call the birthday of the Russia hoax, which was revealed by Tulsi. It actually was born on Friday, December 9th, 2016, and it was done by the Obama White House in a special meeting, aided by the Washington Post. This is in the record. This is indisputable. This is not like me and you debating. And what we go forward from there, and you say that was the Russia hoax that was used to almost cripple the Trump administration by design. Then you go forward to 2020, and you say, what happened on January 6th and afterwards? And to your point, Matt, what they did with this select committee was they weaponized the power of Congress. They were aided by the media, and they were often aided by the Article III courts and the prosecutors. And they took the hoax and they pounded out a message. And frankly, they brainwashed 40% of the country, 50% of the country. There's still people are still sick with it because they were lied. So what is our goal? One is to hold people that do things that are destructive and against the law accountable. I want to do that. We're going to do that. I promise you. But we're also trying to get to the truth. And so when you have a Tulsi Gabbard who can say, here was some of the truth, I can tell you, we've been going through the records, emails of this Department Department of Justice from the Biden era, and we're seeing who was doing what. I'll give you a quick example. They put everybody on January 6th that was arrested, minus maybe 100, onto the terrorism watch list. And when you said, wait a second, you're on the terrorism watch list, why? You're supposed to be a terrorist or a member of a terrorist group or another criteria. The other criteria was we just wanted to put you on. And when you were pardoned by Donald Trump, all 1,500 plus went off the terrorism watch list. Well, that just proves it wasn't a terrorism watch list. It's a list to punish you when you go to the airport.